the countdown.
Okay. Well, I'm hot already.
Tony's
Where's the
already
music?
pissed
Yeah,
off.
Where's
no,
the
no
music?
music.
To?
I wanted it raw. Like
Raw?
this is
Raw? I'm gonna give
Thursday
it to
night
you with
raw.
no trivia?
Yeah.
Correct.
Bro,
Trivia.
I'm tired of two teams in specific. I'm tired of the Falcons, two coaches in specific. I'm tired of Arthur Smith, and I'm absolutely dead tired of Matt Rule. Like, I am so done with both of them. Sorry, guys. Welcome in, smart football people, every Thursday night on the YouTube, Levitard and Friends, on Levitard Show proper, on Twitter. Adam Rauch from Established to Run, friend of the program. Louis Gabagool, also friend of the program. Your humble servant, Tende Tony. We were talking offline. Lewis was talking very self-servedly about his fantasy team to Adam, and he was trying to figure out what he needed to do to make his fantasy team better. We started talking about who were we talking about? Oh, Drake London. How every fantasy player that is a manager of Drake London is holding on to him like the last canteen in the desert. He's really good, but he's attached to an offense that is not really good. Right. Really. So that's we got talking about how Lewis said, why is there no better quarterback than Mariota? And I said, wait a second. Mariota is actually kind of good, right? The issue is not Mariota. The issue is Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is a fool. He is a buffoon. He is a clown of a coach. Okay. My Siri is going crazy. He's a clown of a coach. He still thinks he has Derrick Henry in the backfield, which he doesn't. He has a kick return return running back. Oh, please. He's got a kick return return running back. He's got Tyler Algier, who is decent but not that good. He's got Caleb Huntley. He's got Darrell Williams. Damian Williams. Wrong one. The mentor. Darrell.
Darrell.
Like he's got a bunch of just guys, and he continues to run the ball. Marcus Mariota threw 7 completions. Kyle Pitts people must be going absolutely insane.
Dude, he was getting drafted in the 3rd round. Kyle Pitts was
Adam, welcome to the show. Sorry for that sandblast.
No, it's okay. We all got frustration event, and I agree with you on Kyle Pitts. I mean, free Kyle Pitts.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here with Kyle
We're doing
Pitts?
nothing. We're
throwing the ball.
Yes, we're sitting on our hands.
But when he's on the field, like the defense is just like, okay, yeah, Kyle Pitts here, right? Like obviously.
He ran 12 routes on 20 Marcus Mariota dropbacks. 12 routes. You would have gotten more.
But they won the game, Tony. So I mean, that's established.
Yeah, we're not playing fantasy football. Exactly.
Right.
That's what Arthur Smith said. We're not playing fantasy football. Brother, we're playing regular football, which is more important to get your ball to the guy that actually scores points and make things happen. Kyle Pitts. Whatever. So, not the point. We're not talking Atlanta. They're not playing the Thursday night game. We're talking Indy. We're talking Denver. Yeah. Is this the worst? Well, we had Steelers Browns, which was not great.
The Browns can at least run the ball. It's fun to watch Nick Chubb.
Tony, do you just like bringing me on for the really shitty Thursday game?
Yes, he got our formula.
We were supposed to have Cody Main on too, who we had last week. It would have been a double dose here, Cody and Adam. But Cody had some family stuff. He was like, next time. So I was like, okay. Adam's going to think I bring him on for the shitty games, which I don't, but I can understand why that would that would seem to be the case.
It could have been good. Like in the beginning of the season, on paper, this game was supposed to be a good game.
Look, against my better judgment, it still could be a good game. It still could be a good game despite my better judgment.
All right.
Because when you look at the over-under on DraftKings, it's 42.5 at the moment. It's Denver minus 3.5 at home, right? The line hasn't moved much?
Nope.
Staying at 3.5.
Staying at 3.5.
Like, man, I saw 70% of the bets on Denver. I see a ton of money on the under. That screams to me that that's not going to happen, right? Because anytime we go with what the public's betting, we get absolutely drilled. So, I don't know, man. I could see this game being... you know what? We're getting to a perfect formula and a perfect storm of what we saw with Pittsburgh and Cleveland, right? Where we thought it was going to be a dog shit game. We thought it was going to be a super slow game. The under was going to hit, and it didn't, right? It actually lived up to more than expectations. But I can see this game being Russell's turnaround point in the season. Like, if he doesn't do it against Indianapolis, who is he going to do it against?
Nobody. I mean,
like we're here now. It's week 5. It's week 5. Like, let's go.
It's week 5. Yeah, it's time for Russ. It's time for Russ. He's at home. the Colts defense is banged up. Shaq Leonard is out for this game. The total is really low, but I think we're in a spot tonight where maybe we could be a little bit more confident in the passing game. The nice thing that Russ has going for him is he's got Cortland Sutton.
Right.
And Cortland Sutton is a baller. And they have the Bible narrative working with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there's room there for that. The Colts secondary has some playmakers. They have Stephon Gilmore, but their PFF coverage rank as a unit right now is 27th.
Not good.
So we could. I don't know what you're thinking as far as the lineup, Tony, but I think this could be a spot. This could be a spot for Russ.
So let's now that you mentioned that, let's actually just get right to it. Like it ain't none to it. Man, I want, of course, the optimist in me always wants there to be a lot of touchdowns scored, a lot of yards being gained, and selfishly, I went ahead and across almost every single season-long league that I'm in, I ended up drafting Nahim Heinz, thinking that Matt Ryan was going to be a buoy to success for Nahim Heinz, and they've basically phased him out of the offense. So he's got like 8 carries and 17 receptions over 4 weeks or something like that, and it like doesn't look good. They don't use him in obvious passing down spots. They decide to keep Jonathan Taylor on the field. Like, what do we do with Nahim Heinz? Because I want to play him. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor's out with the ankle. They're saying it wasn't a high ankle sprain. It's a mid ankle sprain. Now it's a low ankle sprain. Short week. He's not going to play. What do we do with Nahim Heinz?
I think we gotta find room for him. I think if the Colts are in a spot where they're trailing, which the spread kind of dictates, Matt Ryan is not. He's not mobile. He's not going to have the tools to kind of move around in the pocket and scramble. I think we could see some hints of check down city maybe tonight. And Nahim Heinz he's built for that role. It's a little bit muddled because we don't know what the rest of the Colts running back situation is going to look like. Philip Lindsay got activated, called up from the practice squad in this game, and his price is ridiculously cheap. It's like $400.
Let's take a look at what it is.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of a key focal point for the Showdown slate tonight. Is what do we even consider Philip Lindsay? I mean, how much of a role is he going to have?
He's 600, by the way.
He's
$600. Look at put it this way: he is $300 higher than Javonte Williams, who is out for the season with a torn ACL. Javonte Williams is $300. Philip Lindsay's $600. It's just tough to me to have a guy that they signed off the practice squad who hasn't really taken any game reps with this team to just put him into action, where Denver's defense has actually been pretty good. I know against the rush, they're kind of middle of the pack. Their secondary has, elevated their defensive play. Man, I'm just so frustrated with what the Colts have done. I'm frustrated with a lot of NFL teams, guys. I'm sorry to say it. Like, there's just teams that I am frustrated with because it's like, how can you guys be so blatantly just blind to what it is that you're doing, right? The Colts keep doing the same thing that the Panthers keep doing and just kicking the tread on or kicking the tires on these just no tread quarterbacks. And they're like, fuck it. We'll put somebody else in there. Phillip Rivers, sure. Carson Wentz, sure. Matt Ryan, sure. Who's next, right? Like, at some point, something's got to happen. Ryan Tannehill, by the way, is the next Colts quarterback. You can put that on.
I thought it was Matthew Stafford.
I don't know. I think Stafford still has a couple years left in LA. Yeah, I think that Cooper Kupp's going to keep him there for as long as he can. But with all this, like, the Colts offense is so uninspiring, right? We thought Michael Pittman was going to have this revelatory year where he was going to break through. He broke through last year with Carson Wentz, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, whatever. This year, obviously, he's been hurt. He missed a game. But, like, are you inspired by Michael Pittman with Matt Ryan?
I mean, I saw them in week 1 in Houston here. They were balling out. And the chemistry was there. They were going to him over the middle, down the sideline on play action. I mean, he was heavily involved. The injury did set him back. But he's had another few days to kind of recover from that injury. It is a short week, but again, I mean, if we're playing by the spread, and we think the Colts will be trailing. And Michael Pittman is by far their number one target. The key is just how involved is he going to be, from a play volume. How often is he going to be targeted? If they're going to be getting Heinz involved, these tight ends have some roles now. They got a lot of tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Alec Pierce and Ashton Doolin have roles. And with a 42.5 total, it's like, how confident can we be that there's going to be enough volume to go around to pay off Pittman's price tag?
Especially a captain where he'd be 15.9, his highest on the slate at basically $16,000.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, how do you think this game is going to go, Tony?
I think you know what? I think that if I was betting the game, which I'm off it, if I was betting the game, I would take the Colts with the points. Yeah, I'm not gambling again. I would take the Colts with the points. I think they keep it close. I don't know if they win, but I think they cover. I can see a game that's
like a 2017 game.
Yeah, I could see a 27-23 game, or excuse me, that wouldn't make sense. I could see a 27-24 game. Denver wins it by a Brandon McManus field goal late. Russ gets a nice little late fourth quarter drive.
So let's think about captain then. So we think the Broncos kind of squeak it out in the end. They just get by. That's kind of a close game. It kind of goes back and forth. I mean, do we think Pittman is going to have the role there in that kind of a game script to warrant a captainship?
I don't think so, man. To be honest, I don't think so.
I don't think so either, dude.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm...
I think he has a good game, but not captain game to spend $16,000.
I remember exactly $16,000 to spend. And I'm like, he's got to show out.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I'd rather spend $1,800 less and get Sutton as our captain. All right, like his target share, his air yards, his red zone share of the offense. Like, he's just the alpha number one wide receiver in a Russell Wilson led offense. Even though that's not that inspiring at the moment, but they're down Javonte Williams now. Melvin Gordon's had fumbling issues. Mike Boone hasn't played that much in the NFL. It's like we're looking around here and it's like it's either Judy or it's Sutton. Like
Cortland Sutton's is projecting as far as captain ownership. At captain ownership, at ETR in our projections, he's projecting as the highest captain ownership
for sure
on the slate. So, I mean, I don't think that's a bad play necessarily. I think what we'll need to do is we'll kind of need to focus on how we differentiate the rest of the lineup if we go Sutton at captain. But I don't think it's a bad call at all. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Adam, what's Mike Boone's ownership across the captain and just regular? Is he going to be a favorable player, or are people kind of going more Melvin Gordon?
I think people are going to want to play Melvin Gordon more. I mean, there is a lot of Mike Boone hype going around, especially at ETR. We love Mike Boone. But right now, Mike Boone's total ownership projecting for 23.5%. And captain ownership under 4%. So that's less than Melvin Gordon on both fronts. So if we think Mike Boone's going to have a pretty equitable role, he's going to get some work, especially in the passing game, or if Melvin Gordon has fumbling issues again, if the coaching staff kind of loses faith in him, there is a route there for Mike Boone to get that extra work and maybe make that price tag pay off. So I think there's even scenarios, honestly, if we thought that the Broncos were going to just straight up dominate this game, I mean, there's a scenario where you could play both of them. I don't think both Gordon and Boone. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Because they can occupy different strengths, right? We can see Mike Boone kind of a hurry up offense, catching passes out of the backfield. We could see Melvin Gordon punching in a touchdown or two in a red zone situation.
Yeah,
and 20 to 20 grinder.
In a game, when you have a total of 42, sometimes 3 for 42 and a touchdown in terms of catches, or 32 rushing yards, 15 receiving yards, and a touchdown is all you need to get there. So the game context, you have to take in the context of the whole game. I think Boone is a good play. I think Boone is a solid play for sure.
He's a solid play, but not as our captain, right? Like we're putting a lot in to have him as our captain.
Right. No. I fully agree with you there. Fully agree with you.
All right. So do we want to get in our captain first, or do we want to build around and then try to fit in our captain? How do we want to do it? As always, if we hit first, a check gets cut to everybody here. As usual,
Correct.
of course.
Yeah.
I think you stick where you go with Nahim Heinz, bro. At least add him to the roster, but consider him for the captain spot too. Like, what else are they gonna do?
I've been burned playing Nahim Heinz in season long and in DFS too, where I'm like, okay, this is a smash spot for him, and it's just been a fart, and I'm like, oh, sick. 3 carries, 1 catch for 7 yards. Like, okay, yeah. I might as well just lit my money on fire.
The only thing that makes me apprehensive, Lewis, about Nahim Heinz in a captain spot is just because we don't really the uncertainty of his role. That's a lot to ask for when you're putting in your captain spot. Yeah. We don't know how Philip Lindsay's going to factor in. They have another guy who's been on their roster. I can't remember his name now. I hadn't even heard of him until this week. But I mean, they're going to have options. Nahim Heinz would definitely be.
I think it's this guy Dante Jackson.
Yeah, Is it Dante Jackson?
Something like that.
I personally feel more comfortable going with a guy like Sutton at captain, and then we can kind of differentiate elsewhere.
Done.
Heinz is a fine flex play, by the way. I'm just saying for captain.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. And like, you always need to speak to like the layman, right? Like, knee jerk and get people off the ledge as to like why don't bite into the XYZ narrative, whatever.
It's just, man, you need bankable targets, right? You need bankable touches, and we know that Cameron Sutton, Courtland Sutton, Cameron Sutton's the DB in Pittsburgh, right? It's actually playing pretty well. Courtland Sutton gets bankable touches, and we know that they want to scheme him the ball. He's probably their best outside wide receiver, and like he's gonna get those touches where a couple things break wrong, and Nahim Heinz is all of a sudden on the pine, and then we're just here like, okay, well, I guess the Nahim Heinz experience is over.
Yeah, but I feel good. I feel good about Sutton being there, and I think we can still have Heinz part of the game script there, in like a trailing game where he's catching passes, kind of in that short to intermediate area, on checkdowns or screens. So I feel good about it. If we want to put Heinz in there, I don't know what y'all think, but I think it works.
There's a lot of cheap guys on the slate too, man.
Yeah,
DK is also looking at this like, woof.
That was a good. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that because when you have games like this where it's really low totaled and a lot of guys are priced down, I think it's okay that if we leave a decent amount of salary on the table at the end of it. I don't think we need to focus so much on using up like the majority or all of our salary. I think there's a really good shot that the winning lineup tonight leaves a decent chunk of salary on the table.
I like that.
And this is, I know chasing good performances is never a good fantasy strategy, right? Like trying to chase that. But Mo Alley Cox right now at 4,800, his snaps are going up, his target share is going up. Like, talk me out of it, Rauch. Talk me out of it. Why do I not want to chase a, what was it, 5 for 80 and 2 touchdown game for Mo Alley?
Yeah, I mean his role really did increase last week. It's increased every week. He's talented. I mean, at BTR we love Mo Alley Cox. I mean he's a really athletic tight end. The only thing is like if you're playing Mo Alley Cox, you're kind of maybe fading some of the other secondary Colts pass catchers that have also shown some really good measurables. Alec Pierce is one of those guys who's got a really elevated ADOT over 13. He's got a 26% air yard share of the team. So, Ashton Doolin he hasn't had a ton of work, but
he's done well when he's actually been called upon.
Yeah, he's done well. He has the ability to separate, which is important. And the Colts also have 2 other tight ends that they've utilized in Granson and Jelani Woods. So, I mean, Mo Alley Cox is certainly, I think, the most talented out of all of those. And if he gets the red zone opportunity, then that's always a plus. But I think he's going to probably let's check out his ownership. No, he's not projecting for a ton of ownership.
Which is
So
good. Differentiates our
which is
lineup
good.
more so than
Yeah.
anything.
So but I think we need to be mindful if we put in Mo here, how many other Colts do we want to put in after that? And does that make sense looking back at it? But we can always adjust. We can always adjust at the end.
All right, let's keep him on the sidelines. What do we think about quarterbacks? Wilson's at 10-4, Matt Ryan's at 9-6. Matt Ryan, for as inept as the offense looked the last couple of weeks, I mean, he threw for 350 yards and a couple of scores. Like, his fantasy numbers will lie to you. Like, Matt Ryan hasn't been playing well, but last week was not bad.
It wasn't bad. They got into a really bad game script, though. They were down big time from the jump against Tennessee. They had to kind of come back. So there was a lot of volume there for Matt towards the end of that game. In this kind of a game, if we're gonna play a quarterback on such a low total game, it's always nice to kind of have that rushing ability as well. And Matt Ryan just does not have that.
Has zero.
Does not have that. The one advantage he has going for him is the Broncos are without Randy Gregory now.
Right.
Their best pass rusher. So, but I don't know. If we're gonna play a quarterback, I feel better about Russ at home. He is going to be more owned, but again, I think there's other ways we can differentiate. But I prefer Russ over Matt Ryan.
Okay, so we do that. If we get
and
Russ,
it pairs well with Sutton. It pairs well with Sutton at captain.
All right, we got 18-7 for 3 spots. Luckily, we're pretty low. There's low price tags here. Do we want to double up on another pass catcher for Denver, right? Is this Mike Boone territory now where maybe he comes in to spell Melvin Gordon, catches a couple passes out of the backfield, maybe catches a touchdown? It's like I wouldn't feel great about doubling up with Judy and Sutton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's viable. I think if we're gonna have a lineup where we're saying Russ is going to throw for multiple touchdowns and get there, I mean, Mike Boone has profiled as a solid receiving back, and he's going to have an elevated role in this game. The offensive coordinator for Denver said that Melvin Gordon, they were going to try to feature him as the main back tonight, but that's coach speak, and we know how talented Mike Boone is. He's been in these roles before, and he's produced. So I'm not mad. I think we can put in Boone here. I think that works.
That and Latavius Murray, they said, is probably not going to play just because of the short turnaround from London. So it's basically going to be a 2-man backfield. I don't even know their third back. Do you? Outside of Boone and Gordon?
Besides Latavius,
because Latavius is there, but I don't think he's going to play. Like, I don't even know. Like, I have no idea who they have.
Let's see. They've got Demaria Crockett,
who's on IR.
And Divine Ozigbo.
Ozigbo. So, I had a couple weeks there in Jacksonville where I needed him to step up.
Divine Ozigbo. Okay, I think Boone's the play there. I like what we have working so far.
Do we like the Broncos defense wreaking havoc against a kind of suspect O-line for the Colts, knowing that we don't have Matt Ryan? We can have him abused a little bit by this defense and not really take a lot of shrapnel off that.
Yeah, I think if it's so hard to project defense in any contest. It's hard, but you get kind of the advantage that the defense is not going to be owned as much. I think the only bummer is that they don't have Randy Gregory, but their secondary is really good. Pat Surtain's one of the best corners in the league. So I was thinking either, I don't know what y'all think about maybe even playing McManus. If they, if I don't know if both of them fit
I was
in
also
that.
thinking a kicker too. It's like one of
I
these
don't know if
ugly
I don't know if we
kicking
do
games.
both of them. I don't know where that leaves us if we plug both of those guys in, but I think there's definitely room for one of those.
You're saying both both Broncos and McManus, Broncos D and McManus would
Yeah,
put us at
either
8,200.
one,
Yeah.
either one. I don't know if both of them make a lot of sense if we're
We're going to
trying to.
5-1.
I mean, it's a roster construction that maybe is more better geared for like a larger field.
Yeah.
But if we think, I mean, you said that you thought the game was going to be close, and the spread kind of dictates that it'll be close. So maybe we don't have to go 5-1. But if we go Broncos D, then maybe we can find another Colts piece to complement it.
Yeah, I think another Colts pass catcher, if we go Broncos D here, leaves us with 8,300, like a substantial amount to kind of go get somebody we like.
Right.
We've got Alec Pierce at 54. We've got Mo Alley Cox at 48. We've got Jerry Jeudy at 78. And basically that's it. Like Pittman's 10-6. And we could put Pittman in. Let's see where that would leave us. If we put Pittman in here, that would leave us with 1,900. But there's some decent guys down here somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, we could put up Philip Lindsay.
God, Philip Lindsay. Yeah, that was kind of what I was talking about earlier. Is like, what do you do with Philip Lindsay at that price, but that uncertain of a role? I mean, he barely needs anything to get you there. So
And
it's
you
tempting.
guarantee yourself, Mike, you get Pittman.
Yeah.
These are
You
the
get
5
Pittman.
best offensive, like the 5 that you have right here, the best 5 players to get points from.
Yeah, but
And if that cost us a Philip Lindsay slot, that maybe Philip Lindsay gets like 36 yards and a touchdown.
I mean, if he
the
gets a
goal line?
touchdown, I would be very surprised. I would be very surprised. Do we have the ability to check what his props are? There props out on Philip Lindsay right now to kind of give us an
I thought
idea of what Vegas thinks.
I thought I saw somewhere that his rushing prop was 38.5.
38.5?
That's what I just saw on Twitter. But let me see if I can pull something up on DK Sportsbook.
DK
Yeah,
has
DK
37 and a half.
By the way, if you want to play in this game in this contest, it's the 30K Pylon on DraftKings. Go to my Twitter at 10daytony. You can find the link to the game. You still have, let's see, an hour and 42 minutes to get in. It's the NFL Showdown 30K Pylon single entry. Check my Twitter at 10daytony. You can go and play the game there. I think it's $3. $3 buy-in.
37.5.
37.5.
37.5.
Oh, man.
I mean, that would give us, because I know people are gonna, seasoned Showdown players are gonna see Philip Lindsay's price and they're gonna take advantage of it, but I don't know if he'll get steamed up enough to where he'll be too chalky. Like I think, because that would give us the ultimate flexibility to go, wherever we wanted to on that last spot. And like it's not a terrible rushing prop for a guy who's getting called up from the practice squad for the game tonight. Also, revenge narrative. Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, it is a revenge game. He's 400.
What-
I was reading his
Do you
captain's
have
thing
any
at
like
600.
crazy insider stats on like revenge people and revenge games?
Does ETR have a revenge game narrative?
They should.
Data
Revenge,
point or what?
revenge game narrative database. I'll put it in the Slack and see what ideas start spinning. I think there might be some legs there. We can work with someone that.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, Philip Lindsay, he's just real. God, he's like so small too. Like,
He had a couple good years though. Like, let's
had-
not. He's not a total dust ball.
No,
Like,
no,
a
no.
couple
He
good
had
years
he
in
had
Denver.
served. He was like he was a journeyman without doing the journey.
Well, yeah. All right. If we get him in, he's at 400. Like he just literally has to have like 10 yards, and he'll give us a nice return on investment. Damn, 6,200 on Mike Boone is looking a little bit pricey now.
Yeah,
but
and
those
do we really think that that Heinz and Lindsay are gonna get,
I
both
think we're
enough?
playing against ourselves there. We're playing
Yeah.
against ourselves. Like we have both guys. Even if you project Lindsay for, let's say, 50% of the base work, right? How valuable is that if he's not getting high value touches by the goal line, if he's
Right.
not getting receptions in a PPR like Draftkings? Like, we obviously have Heinz, who they trust more with the ball. Obviously, he's on the roster. They just signed Philip Lindsay off the practice squad. Nahim Heinz, usually, and I'm trying to think of the last couple of times that he's filled in without Jonathan Taylor there, like, he's had serviceable games. Like, I just think we're hustling against ourselves when we have both of these guys in.
I could see a scenario where, like, if the Colts get down into the red zone, that they kind of go more pass happy, and they try to utilize guys like a Pittman or like a Mo Alley Cox, or like an Alec Pierce, instead of trying to force feed Philip Lindsay, who's not built for that.
Yeah,
he's not a red zone running back.
Technically, they don't have any red zone running backs, quote unquote, right now on the roster.
Right. It's a mess. It's a mess at running back for them. I mean, that's why JT was so valuable. And for him to be out just throws a really big wrench into their offense. So I'm kind of against, as much as I think it could be kind of sharp to play Lindsay. I don't think we should play Lindsay or Heinz. I think if we're going to keep Heinz, and I feel a little bit better about Heinz, and then we kind of maybe go a little bit more off the board with the last pick, but not too crazy.
Man, we got when you look down here, it is scarce.
What do you think? Okay, I know
we're gonna have to rework some of these guys.
If you read the ETR Showdown breakdown,
of course,
that Cody does.
Yeah,
I know Cody was high on Eric Saubert, which is a name, which is
No, but you know what? No, you know what? That's why Cody's a smart guy. That's why you're a smart guy, because everybody sees this as like, oh, this could be a big blow up spot for Albert. Oh, it's finally time for them to use him. Dude, Albert has played like 2 more snaps than I did last week.
Albert 0.
Yeah, literally Albert 0. Yes.
Albert
0. So give us the praise. Tell us about the gospel of Eric Saubert.
I mean, the best thing that he has going for him is he's got a role in this offense with Denver. I mean, they've. Let me check his price real quick. I'm curious to see how
he's at 1,200 right now.
Yeah, I mean they have Eric Tomlinson, Alberto,
and
Eric
right
Saubert.
Eric Saubert.
he looks like he catches tutties, man.
He has 2 receptions for 47 yards and 1 touchdown this season.
But they've been using him.
He looks like he catches tutties.
Yeah, I mean, that's in a slate in a game like this. That's what we need. We just need even a 1 for 10 and a tutty. We'll take it.
Vincent, no, Latavius Murray is not playing tonight.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. What do you think? It's off the board enough to where I think we could get some leverage there.
It is. No, it absolutely is. And the price fits too with what we have.
Yeah.
Even though I hate playing the 3rd tight end on the slate, or almost 4th tight end on the slate. But again, how does it happen? Every Thursday, there's a play action pass and a touchdown to a guy that nobody's ever heard of. It happens.
It happens. And outside of us and maybe, I mean, the general public, unless you live in Denver, they probably never heard of Eric Saubert. He was on the field for 41 of 53 offensive snaps last week.
How many routes did he run on Russell dropbacks?
Oh, let's see. How many routes did he run? I'll pull up that usage real quick. See if I can find it.
Because, man, Albert was supposed to be like, and I don't know if it's a Russ thing where Russ doesn't really like it's what we talk about with Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers doesn't like throwing to tight ends. Never has, never will, right? And that's why I know Levitan's a big proponent of BBT, Big Bob Tonyan, and it's like, man, at what point is he going to realize the potential that he has in this offense? Obviously, coming off an ACL, it's tough to kind of get your feet wet again. but just Aaron does not throw to tight ends. That's just not what he does. Are we looking at the same thing with Russ, where it's like Russ just doesn't throw to tight ends, like that? He just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a tight end that Russ made?
Honestly, no.
No,
I
right?
can't. I mean, when he was in Seattle, there was Will Dissly, aka Will Dustley.
Yeah, exactly.
He had Gerald Everett, who didn't do anything, and now look what Gerald Everett's doing in Los Angeles.
Exactly my point. He had probably one of the most athletic tight ends in the NFL and did absolutely jack shit with him.
Did nothing. Yeah.
Like, he is a wide receiver quarterback.
He is, which is why I feel good about Sutton, where we have him.
Exactly. And low key, if you like to play Judy, like, I don't think it's a bad play either, just to kind of get a different lineup than I feel like a lot of people are going to be playing Sutton just because he's been so good. But Judy, as he showed in the first game of the season, all he needs is a 60-yard touchdown, right? Like, breaks the top off the defense, safety goes the wrong way, reads the wrong play, and all of a sudden Russ puts it out there on a moonshot, and hey, there you go, like the slate winner. But I think Russ is just such a wide receiver quarterback that for me, like, I can see in the range of outcomes where Sahlberg gets a touchdown, gets 3 for 30 and a tutty. Like, okay, that would be like max 99 percentile range of outcomes for him. But I don't see anybody else in the slate that's really, again, inspiring.
Yeah, I think especially like we kind of looked through the Denver options. Like, I think if we're gonna go with this kind of build, so we have a 4-2 right now. It's kind of hard to, if we want to have differentiation, we want to have some uniqueness, but we still think Denver's going to win the game. I think it's fine that we have Sutton and Wilson and Boone in there, but I do think it's sharp to have someone who maybe most of the field won't necessarily be all over. And again, as this kind of a game environment, 2 for 20 and a touchdown is all you need.
Right.
That's all you need. So
we got this one from the chat. Z Palmer 16. Not worried about Surtain shutting down Pittman.
Surtain
does he
is
travel
a great
like
corner.
that? Does he travel like that and shadow people or no?
I honestly am not sure how they deploy Surtain as far as shadow coverage goes, but I mean, I think sometimes like cornerback wide receiver matchups get overblown a little bit just because you have a really talented corner. It doesn't always necessarily mean that Pittman's going to get shut down. I mean, he could very well get the best of him for majority of the game, but if we think that the game is going to go the way it goes and Matt Ryan's going to be looking to push the ball down the field and get back into the game, Michael Pittman is by far their best receiver. He's
right.
Insanely talented. So just as good as Pat Surtain is, a healthy Michael Pittman, with the caveat healthy, which we hope he is, he's supremely talented. And that volume alone should be enough to, I think, warrant a flex spot.
I think the interesting thing is this too, and you guys can correct me on this. I think that when you have cornerback and wide receiver matchups, a lot of that exposes good and bad coaching, right? So follow me on this. When you have a coach that continually puts his players in positions to win, manufacturing touches for his wide receivers, even in tough matchups, like that's what I'm looking for, right? Like, I want Sean McVay because I know Cooper Kupp is going to get me those layup targets where he's going to be moving all across the formation. Kevin O'Connell does it with Justin Jefferson, where he's out wide, he's in the slot, he's in the backfield, he's at tight end. That's what obviously what happened in week 1, and look what happened with Justin Jefferson and absolutely cooked Marshawn Lattimore this weekend in London. Like,
exactly.
I feel like that's the differentiation, right? It's not about, oh, this wide receiver has to do better against this corner. It's like, no, man, my coach has to scheme me in the right positions so that way I can win, right? Are you going to tell me? Here's an open-ended question for the class. In the chat, you can respond. Who would you rather have as your corner, Marshawn Lattimore or Darius Slay? Guys, what would your answer be?
Asking me or the chat?
Everybody. I'm asking you guys. I'm asking the chat. I'm asking everybody. You'd rather have Slay than Marshawn Lattimore?
Hey, at least Darius Slay doesn't get thrown out of games for punching dudes.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Correct.
But no, Slay's been balling out.
Slay's been balling.
He's been
A little bit older. Marshawn Lattimore, I think probably a top 7 corner in the NFL. Is that fair to say?
Sure. Yeah.
Would you say Darius Slay is top 5?
I think so.
We can't really.
I mean, at least how he's performing this year. I mean,
damn,
he's had some terrific performances.
He really has. And the point that I was making is the Eagles, when the Vikings played them on Monday night, Darius Slay shut down Justin Jefferson. Marshawn Lattimore, who probably, let's say, if it's not a 55-45 split on who people would rather have, Slay or Marshawn Lattimore gets abused by Justin Jefferson because, like Justin Jefferson got schemed open a ton of times. And obviously he's just, his route running is crazy. But a lot of it is scheme. Rauch, we had this conversation today in the, not to change gears, but we had this conversation today at the studio. Not to change gears, but we had this conversation. It started off with, is Russ a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? And we had like 7 people at the studio today. I was drawing on a whiteboard all of the quarterbacks that are better than Russ and where he fits in. Do you have him as a top 10? Because we ended up slotting him top 10th. 15. No, we ended up slotting him like top 15, really.
I would not put him in the top 10. If I was making a top 10, I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would put him in there. Just my opinion.
You'd put him top 15.
Yeah. Well, do we have the list? Do we have the list on
it was a list I drew on a whiteboard. You didn't take a picture of it, Lewis, did?
No, of course not. Of course
okay. Just in case you wanted to. I think we had now I'm gonna have to do this. We had Rodgers, Brady. We had
Burrow. No order.
No, chill. Hold on. Before we get to Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott.
Dak made the top 10?
Dak made top 10.
That's a hot button issue, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
where did Tua rank?
Tua ended up slotting in in the 15s.
18th.
Yeah, in like the 15 to 18 range.
Did we say Justin Herbert already?
Herbert's another guy. Are you writing these down, Lou? I saw you writing.
I am.
Okay, what do we have? How many numbers do we have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9.
Okay, here's...
I was trying to sneak in Kirk Cousins.
I mean...
Yeah, I thought you were the Kirk Cousins stan,
I am. Oh, the guy that we didn't mention that we mentioned back in the office is if he's playing, it's Deshaun Watson. Like he's a top 10 quarterback.
You said Carr was a top 10.
No, I did not say Carr was the top 10. I said Kirk Cousins like 11 or 12. We have Burrow. We have Carr. We have...
Burrow's in there. I have Burrow here written down.
Like Russ
is...
And I do it with kind of like one of these, like... maybe. I don't know.
But the thing is, like, you really think that this ugliness of Russ is Russ or... like his coach and
why does no you know what, and I've been a huge honestly on Tony's top 5
I get
Nathaniel
the narrative
Hackett is a hack, right? But Geno Smith is balling. Okay,
Geno Smith is balling.
That offense was supposed to be horrible.
Okay, hold on.
That offense was supposed to be trash. They ended up
that's emphasizing my point.
But it's not. It's emphasizing the point I'm trying to make is, if Seattle's offense last year wasn't good, right? This year was supposed to be even worse because Russ was not there, right? And they were going to bring in Geno Smith, and all of a sudden, Seattle's offense looks better than Denver's offense. Is it a Russ thing? Is it a quarterback thing? Or is it that, hey,
so you're saying that because Jesus is a quarterback that they got better?
No, I'm saying that a quarterback X doesn't have to be Geno. It just could be anybody. A quarterback X is actually following the game plan and doing things that he needs to do in the confines of the offense that they're setting up for him to succeed. Whereby we've heard rumors and sources say that Russ, when he gets in, kind of just does whatever he wants. And like we're seeing evidence of that. Because what if Nathaniel Hackett and the coaching staff in Denver's calling plays that are supposed to be, executed a certain way and Russ isn't doing it, right? Like what evidence do we have that Russ is not the problem here?
2021 season, Russell Wilson threw for 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Not
Like
too many.
boring.
He played 14 games.
That's boring. It's a
Yeah,
boring
but
stat.
that's not a quarterback. Yeah, but that's not a bad quarterback. Throwing 25 touchdowns, and you wanted DK Metcalf on your team last year. And how about all the years that we
want him on
wanted
your team
title?
every year. He's a specimen.
No, you don't. I didn't want DK Metcalf on my team this year. You didn't want DK Metcalf on your team this year.
No. I wanted DK Metcalf just because I think his situation, he can elevate situations, around
Fine,
him.
given
Who I
okay,
didn't
if you have
want
a
was
keeper
Tyler
league,
Lockett.
if you have a keep, and he's doing better than DK
and
Metcalf.
he's doing better. That's what I'm saying. We don't know anything.
All right, that's where we're at.
There was a name that y'all didn't mention. This may be a little hot takey, but what about Trevor Lawrence?
Oh,
Okay.
Come on, dude.
There's another name that was spicy that people didn't want to accept that I put in the top 15. I had number 15.
Yeah,
Are you ready for it?
Okay.
Jared Goff. Spicy.
That's a little spicy.
That was
I'm
spicy.
I'm with you on
Spicy.
Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a top 10 quarterback like by the end of the year.
Trevor Lawrence was the victim of one of or the worst head coach in NFL history.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people are gonna some people may play the recency bias game and look at his week last week against Philly and say, oh, he lost the ball 4 times, he fumbled 8
Against
times
a
in the
great
game.
Phillies
In a
defense.
hurricane.
In a hurricane. I mean, it was that weather was nasty. I think this week people are gonna see
Put some respect
really
on the
what
name.
kind of I think people are gonna really see what Trevor Lawrence can do. Because if they missed the first couple of weeks, they watched last week, but this week they're at home against Houston. I mean, with that new coaching staff, I think Trevor Lawrence could be in that list by the time the season is done with.
I agree. And we had Trevor Lawrence at like 17, 18, and then we started actually doing the math of like, would you rather have Lawrence or Tua, Lawrence or whoever, right? And there's a lot of people picking Trevor Lawrence. Like there's a reason he was the unquestioned number 1 pick, right? Like there's something there. It's just
Right.
Man,
It's just
Like
he got mired.
Urban Meyer didn't know
mired.
who Aaron Donald was.
Yeah,
Urban was too busy on the boat.
I mean, my guy. Here you go. How about this one? Michael Dean says, Goff not spicy. That's a Mayo take. Having Goff top 15 in the NFL is a Mayo take? Sir, please. Like, what are we doing here? I have 15 means he's in front of Tua, Michael. Yeah.
Jared Goff fit Tua.
Huh?
Yeah.
What let's also consider with Goff that he's got one of the most elite playmakers in his receiving core
and one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
and one of the best offensive lines in football.
And the
and
Dolphins
Amon
have
Ra.
2 of the most elite playmakers. Like,
yeah.
It's
I
just going to
mean-
be interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch Goff this week against the Patriots without Amon Ra, which I'm pretty sure he will still be.
He didn't practice. Yeah, he didn't practice
practice
this
on
today,
out.
and also neither did DeAndre Swift. All right, so
Yeah.
just to lock this in, we got Cortland Sutton as our why is my mouse not working? Okay, cool. We have Cortland Sutton as our captain. We've got Nahim Heinz, Russell Wilson, Mike Boone, Michael Pittman, and Eric Saubert. And
the
my
Salber
mouse-
game.
Salbert.
yeah, my mouse. Here we go. Oh, there we go. All right, we're back. Let's update our entry. Bam, baby. We are locked in. Quickly, Adam. You do an incredible outline article every week called Game Scores. For those of the people that haven't heard of what it is, it's on establishedtherun.com. Adam came up with an incredible algorithm that gives us the how would you explain it? Gives us just the best games to go after in DFS stacks.
Yeah, it's designed to give you the best game environments to attack in GPPs on DraftKings or FanDuel. So, if for the listening audience, a very highly utilized strategy in winning these GPPs, large field or small field, is by stacking, which just means play multiple pieces from the same game, either on one side or on both sides. So there's a lot of variables that go into it, but we try to condense everything into one visual and explain, hey, these are the few games. If you're looking to target in game stacks for tournaments, this is what we go after. So yeah, you can check it out on establishtheRun.com, where the write-up will be. I kind of explain why games rank where they rank on the table and the advantages and disadvantages to each. In fact, we just recorded a podcast with Leone about an hour ago, kind of going over the Week 5 slate. So y'all can check that out on our podcast feed as well. So yeah,
and
that's basically
what pod is that? And what pod is that? So people can go out there and listen
to it. You can check that out on Establish the Edge, which is part of the Establish the Run podcast network. So I would highly recommend for the listening audience, go out to subscribe to Establish the Run podcast, and you can subscribe to Establish the Edge, subscribe to the YouTube page where we post all of our video content as well. All that good stuff will be on there, so you guys can check it out.
Can we get a little tiny nugget of game scores, a little preview for those that are going to listen to the pod later and read the article later? Is there a game that you're high on this weekend?
There is a game that I'm high on. And this is not because of the news surrounding him. I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, it's just because of the drama around Mr. Tom Brady." But Bucks Falcons right now is our top game score on the week.
Really?
It is. It has here's
the Chris Godwin game.
Well, see, so we're kind of getting a little bit into the weeds, but Chris Godwin is projecting as pretty chalky right now because he's priced really well.
Right.
So you got to keep that in mind when you're stacking, because you don't want to have guys that are too highly owned. But the prices, I mean, a lot of guys in that game are super affordable. I think Godwin is $5,900 on DraftKings. Mike Evans is $6,900 on DraftKings.
Especially after the week that Mike Evans just had, $6,900 is nothing.
We were talking on the show that Evans kind of reminds us of DK Metcalf from last week, where that Seattle-Detroit game was projecting as super chalky. A lot of people were going to play pieces from that game. Well, DK Metcalf, because Tyler Lockett was priced so well, DK Metcalf got kind of slid under the rug there. No one really paid attention to him. His ownership slid under 10% and he went off. And there were some other things that happened. You know, that game was crazy. I mean, TJ Hawkinson had a 40 ball.
Yeah.
That really steamed ownership. But there's ways you can go about that game, whether it's, if you're willing to eat the Godwin chalk, or if you want to go after Fournette, who's got a pass catching role as a running back, who's a really good value in our projections this week. Brady, of course. We'll see about Kyle Pitts. He's DMP. Hope he plays, but I mean, he wasn't getting any. I mean, we complained enough about Arthur Smith already.
For those of you who missed it, we all think Arthur Smith is not a good NFL head coach, but they're going to be forced to pass. They're going to be forced to pass, right? Like 20 attempts is not going to cut it when you're playing against Brady with the full complement of weapons, with Godwin, with Mike Evans, with Fournette. Like something's got to give for the Falcons. Yeah. So if this is not the game, even though he already kind of had the blow-up game this year, Kyle Pitts did. Sad to say that probably could be an every week occurrence. What did he end up with in that Seattle game? Do you remember off the top of your head or no?
Sorry, who are you referring to?
Kyle Pitts.
In the Seattle game?
Yeah. He had his best game of the year, I think, against Seattle, where he had like 50 some odd yards at half and finished with maybe close to 100, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see. Yeah, it was not. It was close to 100. I remember that, but another game I want to shout out real quick while I'm looking this up. Philadelphia and Arizona in the late slate.
Yeah.
On the afternoon slate, that's projecting really well. And the advantage to playing that game is by the time the early slate is done, you'll have all of the information you need in order to, late swap, or based on how the ownership plays out in the early slate, you can kind of pivot off guys. If your chalk on the early slate doesn't hit, or if your lower owned guys in the early slate go off, then you can kind of lean into the heavier owned or the higher value plays in the afternoon. And yes, that Seattle game, Kyle Pitts went 5 for 87 on 8 targets. Didn't find the end zone though,
which he never does. But I'm saying they're going to have to utilize him, and it's sad that he can do 5 for 87 in his sleep every single week. They just don't feature him in the offensive game plan for whatever reason that may be. But they're going to have to throw the ball. And is it in Atlanta?
It is it's at Tampa.
Oh, it's in Tampa. Okay.
At Tampa.
I was gonna say the
Yeah.
weather, no weather in Atlanta because of the dome, but
Yeah, the weather. I don't think we have any weather concerns for Tampa right now. Should be nice there this weekend. The other thing that I think we should keep in mind for Atlanta is that they just lost CPAT to IR, Cordell Patterson. So they're rolling out Tyler Allgeier and Caleb Huntley, I believe, is their third string running back.
Found the end zone last week.
They do love to run the football in Atlanta. That's what they want to do. But if we're operating under the assumption that Brady and the Bucs get off to a really fast start, put a couple touchdowns on the board, Atlanta's not going to have a choice. They're going to have to throw. And that's where guys like Pitts and Drake London come in. But you want to be careful of ownership. Be mindful of that. Keep checking the projections leading up to kickoff because that'll be important with that game.
I'm looking across the rest of the slate, and outside of Eagles Cardinals, which we talked about, the main slate that is, because I actually kind of like the two island games, Sunday night and Monday night. There's not really something that jumps out from the screen outside of Falcons Bucks, like Dolphins Jets with Teddy Two Gloves. Not great.
Yeah. The thing about that game is, the game scores is designed to show you, hey, these are the games. If you want to go full game stack, these are the games you want to go to. Sometimes those middle of the pack games, like Miami and New York, are kind of projecting as a middle of the road game on the game scores right now. That's an opportunity maybe to go a mini correlation, where you're just basically shrinking your stack a little bit. Maybe one play from one side, another play from the other side. So you could go Jalen and Garrett Wilson. You go Tyreek and Elijah Moore. But yeah, with those quarterbacks, it's gonna be tough to support a full game stack, and that total right now is at 45.5. So not as appetizing as some of the other Miami games from earlier this year. One game that Leone and I were talking about that is pretty interesting and could be a spot to gain some leverage on the field is the Chargers-Browns game, which you wouldn't expect to have a high total relative to the rest of the slate, but right now it's at 47.5. And there are, I think the highest total game on the slate is 49 on that Philadelphia Arizona game. So Chargers Browns is interesting. That game is not going to be owned at all.
Yeah. Nobody wants a piece of that.
No one's going to want to play that game. Nick Chubb is expensive, but is a home run hitter and the best pure runner in the NFL. Amari Cooper had a dud last week, so people are not going to want to play him, but he could bounce back.
Are you worried about him with J.C. Jackson? Because he struggles against alpha number one corners, and J.C. Jackson is one of the best corners in the NFL. I worry about Amari Cooper kind of turning into just nothing, like a shadow.
Yeah, I don't know.
We you know what? That's it. No, you nailed it. I don't know.
Who knows? We don't know anything. But J.C. Jackson is a good corner and all. I think if we get the right game script, though, I don't know if it necessarily matters that J.C. Jackson's guarding him, because I think Amari Cooper is just going to get that volume. You could go other routes. You could go David Njoku at tight end. He's been getting a ton of targets, a ton of looks, and it doesn't come off the page as an obvious strategy, but you could even put in Nick Chubb as part of that stack. All it takes is Nick Chubb to bust one for 80 yards and a touchdown. He gets over the bonus maybe, and then Los Angeles is still in a trailing game script, having to pass their way back into it. And then you can plug in guys like Mike Williams or Gerald Everett or Josh Palmer or whoever, and you can make that game stack work. And if Herbert gets you there with those pieces in there, you have a good lineup heading into the 325 slate, knowing all the information you need to know.
It's not on the main slate, so it's not on your game scores, but I really like Ravens Bengals. I think that can be a bit of a high scoring affair just because Ravens secondary is so banged up and Lamar's just kind of on a tear right now.
He is.
How do you see that game really quick on an island?
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, we've been waiting. All 12 of us
Yes.
that are panicked about Jamar Chase. We've been waiting for a blow-up game, and we need one.
It's
badly.
coming. It's coming. There, Mike Leone. Shout out to Mike, by the way. He's a great guy.
Yes.
He does this by Leone model, which basically says,
I listened
okay,
to the pod. I listened to the pod
There
yesterday.
you go. There you go, Tony. Yeah. So basically, which wide receivers have underperformed relative to their projection, their expectations, but are most likely to bounce back? And Jamar Chase is popping on that model. I mean, he's too
good to be playing the way he is. Yeah.
He's absurdly talented, and the Ravens secondary kind of has this connotation that it's always elite, and like the Ravens defense is so vaunted. I don't think that's necessarily the case this year. Jamar Chase could absolutely go off here. So I think if you're playing that island slate, Jamar Chase at captain is, I mean, that's how I would want to play it. I think he's just ready to absolutely pop off.
I have a theory. Lou, you ready?
Yep.
I think people think that the Ravens defense is good because they wear predominantly black and purple jerseys.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you guys think about that?
I agree with that. It's scary.
So you're saying that uniform color dictates intimidating?
I'm saying that there's something there.
I think it absolutely. There's absolutely a psychological effect with the colors and stuff like that. There's something happening there.
I mean,
Like-
I don't know what it is. Something's happening.
I don't know what it is, but purple, the black, when Steelers were all black, when the
Steelers-
Saints were all black.
That's a badass way
I'm
to
just
have
saying,
a
there's
jersey.
something there. I'm trying to think of any other team that wears the all black. The
Deion
Falcons
Sanders says you play good.
What?
You look good. You play good. Deion
Well,
Sanders.
yes,
That's
yes,
right.
absolutely.
That's right.
Thank you, Adam, for joining us again. Follow his stuff at Establish the Run. He does game scores. He does Establish the Edge with Mike Leone. Adam Levitan, Drew Dinkmeyer, Evan Silva, all the guys over at ETR are doing an incredible job. As always, they're kind enough to lend us their smart people to make us sound a lot smarter every Thursday. We'll try to get Cody Main back here. We'll try to do a nice little quad box before your quad box on Sundays. You'll do it here on Thursdays with us. Around the horn, guys, anything else fantasy related that you guys are in on, thinking of, want to share with the chat, want to share with the people, anything?
Hold Gabe Davis.
Lewis, I don't know why you drafted Cam Akers this year.
Cause I'm bad at fantasy, dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
there it is.
No,
There
I'm actually
it
not.
is.
I'm actually not bad. I didn't draft.
You're not
first of all, I
bad.
didn't
You're
draft.
1-3, but you're not bad.
I didn't draft Cam Akers. I did get more for Cam Akers than I would have gotten for Elijah Moore. This is my point. In my league, in my particular league, I know for a fact that I'm going to get more than what I would have gotten for Elijah Moore.
Okay.
See you, Gary.
See you, Gary. Later,
See you,
guys.
Gary.